Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Brown Girl in Beijing podcast. It's a podcast about my Beijing life, and I'm your host, Dr. Baby. Hello everyone, and welcome to season 3 of the Brown Girl in Beijing podcast. As you can see, some things have changed. To hear about what else has happened since season 2, you have to stay tuned.
I know you've been jamming with your crew. You got to leave, but that one last won't do. I want to put another wine on you. I got that good. If I put it right there, would you wine on me? If I put it right there.
Wow, season 3. Never thought that we would make it this far. Because what do I have to talk about? Thankfully though, on season 3, I have some friends that will help me. Some friends have answered the call, and so every episode after this one is not going to be a solo episode. It's going to be with 1 or 2 friends. I'm just so excited for you to be able to meet some of my friends in Beijing, and then also to hear from another friend who is not in Beijing but also not at home. So I'm, this is fun. And the theme of this season is just winging it. There were no really prepared questions. Like the basics, who are you? What do you do? Where are you? But other than that, it was just, show me what you got. What do you have going on? So, yeah, I'm excited about you guys getting to witness this season. I will say that for those of you that like to listen to the podcast, whether on Anchor or on Spotify, Apple, Google, some parts of the season are better watched. So you may want to tune into YouTube, but that's up to you, up to you. I just want to be helpful and transparent. So let's talk about what has happened since we last saw each other. The last time was in January, I think just before my birthday, if I'm not mistaken. So my birthday is January 16th, which is January 16th. And I'm really big about my birthday. It's a big deal for me. I know there are some people that don't really care for their birthdays. They don't really like to celebrate. I love to celebrate mine. The celebration might look different from year to year, but I love to celebrate my birthday. So this year I decided on a weekend of events. In the past I've done last year I did a week of things that I was doing. But I wanted a weekend of events where all the people that I know and love in Beijing were invited. And whether we knew each other from church, we knew each other from work, from my old job or my current job, we met randomly in a subway and became friends, I invited them. Let's all have one big weekend of celebrations. So I made the WeChat group and made plans to go to, there's this baseball bar, and they have batting cages. I'm not good at baseball, but it is a good time. They have batting cages, they have a dartboard, they also have some board games, and then you can bring your own board games and cards. So it's a good, fun spot to just hang out, play games, talk, laugh, all of that. And it's a pretty decent size space. So I, sent them a message and was like, hey, want to have my birthday party here? Is that cool? Oh, how many people are you thinking? Oh, maybe 30 or 40. Is that okay? And it was fine up until the day before, maybe. So I planned to do this on the Saturday. My birthday was on the Sunday. I planned to do this on the Saturday. And either Thursday or Friday, I messaged the person, was like, hey, this is how many people are planning to come. And this was a weekend when this like really bad flu was going around, and so people were sort of like dropping out left and right. So I'm like, hey, you know, these are the people that said that they were coming. She's like, okay, cool. Minutes later, hours later, I don't know, she texts and says, hey, sorry, it's unavailable. There's a company that's doing something and they've already made a deposit. I was just like, oh. I mean, like, I could have made a deposit. Like, if I knew we were doing that. Okay. She's like, I'm so sorry, they just told me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So we ended up finding another space that I had been to before, Chez Soi or Chez Soy. I don't know if it's fully French or if they're mixing the French and Chinese. I'm not certain. Anyway, that space, you know, messaged them and I'm like, hey, I have a like crisis. I need a space that's gonna fit about 25 people. And they were like, yeah, come on down. 7 o'clock is fine. We have space. So it was a good time. We went over there, brought some games, had some dinner, and it was a nice time getting to sort of hop around to different friend groups and then settling in to play some games. So that was a good night. And then Saturday, I have to tell you about Friday too, because I did do something on Friday. Sunday, went to church, obviously, and then went to QMax in Solana. I love QMax, and if you watched, I believe, episode 6 of season 2, you would know how much we love QMax, right? So QMax is just in our veins at this point. And I made reservations there as well, and that was fine. And it was just such a nice occasion. So I had ordered a birthday cake from Nay's Delights and made the reservation there, got there, you know, people came, they showed love, they sang for me. I cried. It was just so beautiful to feel that outpouring of love from all these different people. So it was a really, really good time. I very much enjoyed it. Friday, I went to Alluvia's show. They had a show on Friday. So I was like, this is part of my birthday gift to myself. So I went to their show and they sang me happy birthday. And that was just so, you know, I just felt so loved that weekend. So it was a really, really good weekend. The only downside was that with my birthday being in the winter, I wanted to do a staycation, and the hotels here do not believe in allowing you to use the cooling of your air conditioner, only the heating. And so no matter how many times I turned it down, because if you know me, you know that I love the cold, no matter how many times I turned it down, it just would not budge. And so I called the front desk and I'm like, hey, is there any way to, you know, get cooling instead of heating? They were like, no, if you don't want heating, you can just turn it off. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then there's no air moving in the room. They were like, well, open the window. Okay. The window, I kid you not, the window, y'all see the width of me. The window is smaller than the width of me. Where was the air supposed to come from? Like, this happened, I checked in on Friday and checked out Monday morning. Where was the air supposed to come from? Okay, fine, cool. And I contemplated, you know, I could take the L on this room and just go back to my apartment where I know that I can be cool because I can have all of my windows open, or I can find a way to deal with the situation. So I ordered a fan, a little small fan, did not cost very much, and just had it sitting right at my head for the 3 nights that I slept there. Y'all, I can't be hot. I can't sleep in the heat. It's unbearable for me. It's like painful. I can't sleep. So that was the only downside, and I have to keep that in mind next year. If I decide that I want to do a staycation, let's just push it off until the summer, because in that hotel where I went, I stayed there in the summer, and the room gets really cool. I was hoping for the same effects in the winter. Silly me. So that was the only hiccup. Everything else though was pretty good. So thank you to everyone who joined me for my birthday. I appreciate you, love you, lots. What else has happened? Chinese New Year. I had about a month off from work for Chinese New Year. Did not get to go anywhere because COVID-19. And even traveling within China can be a little bit finicky. I don't know if that's the word I want to use. But I could, everything could be all good one day. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go to like Sanya, where the beach is, right? It's on the coast. And go to Sanya and have a couple of days vacation on the beach because it's always so warm. And then something happens and all of a sudden, I no longer need just a test to come back or what have you. I need a test plus however many days in quarantine, blah, blah, blah. And so with the situation being what it was, I like to take risks, but not like that. No, I can find something to do in Beijing. So I did spend a lot of time sleeping. I also spent time recording bits and pieces of or at least planning out the season 3 of the podcast. And spend a lot of time with friends. That was a big thing because when I work, because I live so far to the west and everything happens sort of in the center of the city or moving between the center and the east of the city, I don't get to see my friends a whole lot during the week when I work. And on the weekends, it's sort of like, when one friend books something for a Saturday, that's pretty much it, right? I don't do much else, or I have to resolve within myself. I'm just going to spend this entire Saturday out of my house. And that can get very draining because on Sundays, I usually spend a good portion of the day out of my house. So to balance, having a day where I need one day every couple of weeks at this point. I need at least one day where I do not have to people. Just one day where I can clean down the house or have an IE come and clean it for me. One day where I can just be one with the couch and not have to worry about getting up and having to do stuff. And so that's another thing that gets in the way of my spending time with my friends. Because I find that if I don't get that rest, I'm very, very cranky and I'm not very much fun to be around. And, some of my friends are like, oh, no, it's fine. We just love having you here. It's just like, as much as I love y'all, I don't necessarily want to be there. I want to be at home. And it has nothing to do with you. I'm just, like, my battery is past 0 at this point. So yeah, spending time with friends over the break was really, really nice. Getting to go out to brunch or lunch, getting to go to embassy at church on Thursday nights. Also getting to go to the quiz, so splitting my time between the embassy and the quiz on Thursday nights, because once I start working, my appearances are pretty rare, unless I need to be there for a specific reason. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what my Chinese New Year break was like. And that takes us to the end of February. We started a new semester at work. There were some changes at work, so having to adjust to that. And then making plans, for next year. So my kids will graduate in a couple of days. I say a couple of days. They'll graduate in June. And just trying to prepare them for the reality of that. And, leaving primary school and what high school, or they call it middle school here, what middle school is going to be like, and trying to really help them to grasp the weight of what this means. I had a former student come and talk to them. He caught me in the hallway. I was like, Dr. E! Hi! How you doing? He's gotten so big. My kids from last year, they really hit growth spurts over the summer. I've seen some of them come back and they just look so grown. And it's only been, you know, it would have only been maybe about a couple of months since the last time I saw them, because I would have seen them in June 2021. And just seeing them throughout the course of the year, they just look so grown. Anyway, I asked him how middle school is. He's like, it's hard. We have so many subjects, so many lessons, and I don't do well in all of them. So I'm like, please come tell my kids, because they think that I'm being hard on them. Please come and tell my kids that the next year up, we're in a whole different ball game, guys. Like, this is grade 6 is like the hybrid year, where I'm trying to get you to be a little bit more independent and not call my name all the time. You get to 7th grade, it's a whole different, you're in a different part of campus. You're not even in the same like atmosphere anymore, and our campus is really big. You're in a different part of campus, babes. You gotta tighten up. Speaking of name calling, I did an experiment 1 week, and this was a test week where they had 2 tests that week, and I teach 40-minute lessons. Through the week, I teach 20 40-minute lessons. Sometimes it's with all 27 kids together. Other times it's 14 in one class, 13 in another. In a week, my kids called my names in the lessons at least 392 times in a week. This does not include when they see me in the hallway or they see me outside of the building. This does not include before class or after class. And in some cases, they called my name and I got a little clicker, the tally counter that like people used to use at the theaters back in the day. I doubt they still use them. It's 2022. Anyway, that people used to use to count how many people were coming in. So I got one of those, and sometimes I would forget to click it. They knew that I had planned on counting. They did know that because I told them at least a week or 2 prior that I'm like, one day I'm going to count how many times y'all call my name. Some of them knew that I was using the counter. Not all of them did. And they didn't see me using it because I kept it in my pockets. And it was still cool enough that I could wear a jacket to work. So I would just have my hand in my pocket and just clicking. And it wasn't a very loud sound. So they didn't always know. Now I have some clever students that watch me very closely and knew that it was in my pocket. So they would come like, where is it? Where is it? So there were some times when I did not actually count them calling my name. But 392. That is almost like I counted it up. I'm like, 20 lessons, 40 minutes each. This is where you would see the GIFs or GIFs with the woman. There's one with a woman and one man where they're doing like advanced math. And you just see the whiteboard going. Or it's pretending that they're doing it. Anyway. I worked out that my kids call my name once every 2 minutes, basically. Is that not maddening? Like, does that not drive you? During a test week where they took 2 tests, one of the tests would have lasted them about 15 to 20 minutes of the 40 minutes. And another took 2 class periods, so 80 minutes. And still my name was called 392 times. Y'all, when I say that I am tired, for a while, I didn't understand what it was about my job that made me so tired, right? Because I love my kids. I love what I do. I love the teaching side of teaching and the administrative side of teaching. planning, organizing, finding different resources, finding games to play. Like, I enjoy it. So I could not figure out why I was so tired at the end of a school day. Like, what am I doing? And on my busiest day, I have, out of the 8 lessons that they have, on my busiest day, I might teach, well, no, not of the 8 lessons that they have. Out of the 8 periods that I have, on my busiest day, I think that I teach 6 of them. I believe that I teach 6 of them on my busiest day. And I still couldn't figure out, like, why am I, I have a good amount of time during my lunch break to sort of like recharge a little bit. Why am I so tired? And then in conversation with another teacher, I'm like, it's because they call on me so much. That's why I'm so exhausted. That's where my energy gets pulled from, right? Or you're explaining instructions, and in the middle of it, they ask, well, what does that mean? What does this mean? It's like, just let me finish. And when I do, if you still have questions, ask me. And it just doesn't seem to stick. Or we have a rule in my class. So like repeating myself over and over. That's one thing. And then my name being called. We have a rule in my class called 1, 2, 3, then ask me. Number 1, like if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Number 1, check the board. 9 times out of 10, your steps are written on the board or on the whiteboard. They're your instructions. Let's say that it's what I call a working class where there was no direct instruction. This is time for you to catch up on things or to work on worksheets, to study something. Check your notes. Check if you're working on something you don't know what a word means. Check your dictionary. That's step number 2. Step number 3, ask one of your friends. Dr. E is not your friend. Ask one of your friends. Somebody sitting around you. Somebody knows what to do. Ask them. And if after you've done steps 1, 2, and 3, and you still have no idea, then ask me and let's talk. But if you haven't done those first 3 steps, don't ask me. Please do not. I need you to work on being independent just a little bit. I need you to become, a critical thinker, right? Think for yourself. Just a little bit. Nope. I'm actually gonna get a t-shirt made. 1, 2, 3, then ask me. I'm gonna get in like 10 different colors, and that's just gonna be my uniform for next school year. I'm so tired. So yeah, that was an experience. I'm actually afraid to do it during a non-testing week. That was an experience. Just putting down on paper how many times my kids call my name. Just for yeah. So your teacher friends, if you are not a teacher but you have teacher friends, they're tired. Extend to them some grace, please. Yes, I think that's it for this episode. I will remind you, at the beginning of the episode, if you were watching and not just listening, you would have noticed something a little bit different. And the difference is we have a new logo, courtesy of Kay at the Mayfield Studio in the Bahamas. So I'm going to link her details, but on Instagram, she is at the Mayfield Studio. So the @ symbol, the Mayfield Studio on Instagram. And so you want to check her out for all of your branding and business needs. Yes! Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. And I hope that you enjoy the direction that this season takes. Because who knows, we might do it again in season 4. So this is the last time you will see me by myself. Because next time, you're going to see me with somebody else. Or with somebody's else. somebody else's. I'm an English teacher. You will see me with other people. See you next time. XOXO, Dr. Baby. Thank you guys for watching and listening to another episode of the Brown Girl in Beijing podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn your notifications on for more Brown Girl in Beijing content. See you soon.